There comes a moment in every person's life when the mirror becomes more than just glass. It becomes truth. You look at yourself, not the filtered version that hides behind excuses or distractions, but the raw, unpolished, unfiltered you. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. Life isn't just happening to you. It's responding to you. The results you have right now, the body you carry, the habits you live by, they aren't random. They are reflections of your discipline or your lack of it. Because life, in its brutal honesty, gives every single one of us exactly what we've earned through consistency, sacrifice, and self-control. People love to talk about freedom. They post about it, dream about it, chase it. But so few ever understand this simple paradox. True freedom isn't the absence of discipline. Freedom is born from it. The people who seem the most free financially, creatively, emotionally are almost always the most disciplined. They control their impulses before their impulses can control them. They command their days before their days consume them. They master their emotions before their emotions can master their destiny. Discipline isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the training ground for greatness. It's what allows you to rise above your feelings, your fears, your laziness, and all your excuses. It is what turns potential into raw power. Think about every name we revere in history. Thomas Edison, who failed over 1,000 times before lighting up the world. Henry Ford, who built not just cars, but an entire industrial revolution. Abraham Lincoln, who faced loss after loss before changing the course of a nation. Walt Disney, who was once told he lacked imagination. These men weren't miracles, they were disciplined. They practiced when others procrastinated. They worked when others wished. They rose before the rest of the world even woke up. Because discipline isn't about what you do once in a while, it's about what you do every single day, especially on the days you don't feel like it. It's the invisible architecture behind every dream that becomes real. The hours of unseen repetition, the quiet mornings of solitude, the relentless grind that nobody ever applauds. But the world doesn't show you that part, does it? It shows you the rewards, not the road. The trophies, not the training. The comfort, not the cost. That's why most people are seduced by the fantasy of success but repelled by the discipline it requires. They want the outcome without the process. They want the glory without the grind. The freedom without paying the price. But here, as the truth, you need to hear. You will pay a price in this life, one way or another. You either pay the price of discipline today, or you will pay the price of regret tomorrow. One costs you pain in the short term. The other costs you your soul in the long run. The disciplined person chooses their pain. They wake up early. They sacrifice comfort. They delay gratification. They say no when it's so much easier to say yes. But the undisciplined person, they suffer by default. They endure the pain of being average, the pain of missed potential, the agonizing pain of knowing, deep down, that they could have been more. The great tragedy of life isn't that people fail, it's that they settle. They settle for comfort, disguised as peace. They settle for distraction, disguised as happiness. They settle for mediocrity, disguised as stability. And in doing so, they trade their birthright for a life of ease. Understand this. The highest form of suffering is to live a life beneath your own potential. You can numb it for years, drown it in entertainment, hide it behind routines, but it's always there, whispering to you when the room is quiet. You could have been more. And that whisper, that's your destiny calling for discipline. Because destiny doesn't shout, it waits. It watches how you spend your mornings, how you treat your time, how you manage the small promises you make to yourself. It studies your habits and your hunger. And then, only then, does it decide whether or not to reveal itself to you. That's the part most people miss entirely. Success isn't something you chase, it's something you attract by the person you become. And the person you become is forged in the furnace of discipline. Look at the athlete who trains before dawn while the world still sleeps. Look at the artist who practices 1,000 strokes before unveiling one masterpiece. Look at the entrepreneur who endures failure after failure before building an empire. These are not lucky people. They are disciplined architects of their own reality. Discipline turns chaos into order. It takes the scattered energy of your desires and channels it into a single, powerful direction. Without it, your dreams are just fireworks, loud, bright, and gone in a flash. With it, they become stars fixed, constant, and eternal. But make no mistake, discipline is not glamorous. It's not a highlight reel. It's repetitive, it's lonely, and it's often completely unseen. It's doing the same thing over and over until it becomes second nature, until your habits become your allies, and your consistency becomes your greatest strength. People will call you obsessed. They'll say you're too rigid, too intense, too serious. But listen, obsession is simply discipline with a purpose. Every great life demands a certain level of sacred obsession, the kind that refuses to settle for ordinary. The great speaker Jim Rohn once said, "We must all suffer one of two things, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret." And if you look closely, the difference between the successful and the unsuccessful isn't intelligence, or luck, or opportunity. It's how they respond to that choice of pain. The successful embrace it. The unsuccessful run from it. And here's the secret. When you embrace discipline long enough, the pain transforms. What was once difficult becomes natural. What once felt like sacrifice becomes deep satisfaction. You begin to crave the structure because it gives you strength. You start to see that every single time you choose discipline, you gain more control over your destiny. Discipline is the act of making promises to yourself and actually keeping them. It is self-respect in motion. Every morning you wake up and follow through on what you said you'd do. You strengthen your integrity. You send a powerful message to your mind that you are not to be negotiated with. And over time, that message turns into an unshakable confidence that simply cannot be faked. People often ask, what's the secret to motivation? But motivation is a myth. It's fleeting. It's emotional. It's unreliable. Discipline is what remains when that motivation disappears. Motivation gets you started. Discipline is what keeps you going. Success is never built in bursts. It's built in consistency. It's the small, repetitive actions that compound into greatness over time. That's why discipline is destiny. It's not just what gets you the results. It's what shapes who you become in the process. The disciplined person doesn't just achieve more. Mori. They are sharper, calmer, stronger. They don't need the world to be easy because they've made themselves tougher. They don't fear failure because they've learned that just showing up is its own form of victory. They don't chase happiness. They earn peace. And that is the ultimate paradox of discipline. It begins as a restriction, but it ends in absolute freedom. The same boundaries that once felt like chains become the very structure that sets you free. The same habits that once felt heavy become your wings. Because once you master yourself, nothing external can control you anymore. Not temptation, not distraction, not fear. And that is true freedom, not the ability to do whatever you want, but the strength to do what you must. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content to help you build your best life. We'll see you in the next one.